This armored rabbit warrior is called Sir Buckthorn and has appeared in multiple pieces of my artwork. Some people have asked me where I got the inspiration from for armored rabbit warrior, and today I'm going to tell you the origin in our Wisdom Wednesday. Please support my artwork by visiting www.tigertactile.com. Hello, 你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is July 17, 2024. So, um, today I'm going to tell you guys the origin of the armored rabbit warrior. This is a very regional deity. In fact, for most Chinese people that's not from the Beijing, China region, they don't really know much, if anything at all, about the deity that's called Tu Ye, means Master Rabbit, uh, and it's usually depicted as a rabbit, a big giant rabbit in golden armor and helmet, like a very godly, holy warrior. And this rabbit warrior is, in many ways, the inspiration behind my Sir Buckthorn artwork, which also depict armored rabbit warrior. Uh, Granted, in the case of Sir Boxthorn, the rabbit warrior is depicted in the more Western style medieval knight armor rather than traditional Chinese armor. So, who is this armored rabbit? Where did he come from? Why is it that usually only people from Beijing region of China know about him? Well, let's start the story by going back to thousands of years ago when Beijing wasn't Beijing, when Beijing region was mostly just a collection of uh, primitive villages with people scrabbling for food and living in the dirt. Unfortunately, this year the region has been struck with a really bad case of COVID-19. Well, okay, it wasn't COVID-19, it was a plague, but I'm saying COVID-19 so you guys grasp the implication. Okay, it was really bad. The plague was really bad. It was um, spreading through the region, killing people like wildfire. Corpses were stacking up on the side of the road, and of course, bad living condition, bad water, not enough food, and people getting sick just resulted in even more people dying. It was really horrible, and it looked like the people in this region would be wiped out. And of course, they couldn't just simply leave because other regions wouldn't let them in. Because you guys got plague going on. Stay there, stay over there. Don't come to our town. So people were desperate. People were praying to the gods. People were praying to the Jade Emperor to come save them. Their prayer reached all the way up in heaven, and particularly their prayers were being heard by the mother of the moon goddess Chang'e herself. Now, we mentioned Chang'e's story before, so I'm not going to go into that here. Just remember that Chang'e is the goddess of the moon. So Chang'e went to see the Jade Emperor and she said, "Hey, what's going on? The the Beijing region, it's people are dying. It's really bad. The plague is really bad. We should help them." And the Jade Emperor said to Chang'e and his other deities, he said, "I do not want any of you to interfere. These people are being punished because of their gluttony and sin and greed. So they brought this upon themselves. I do not want any of you to go help them. In fact, I'm going to tell my door guardians at the heavenly gate. I'm going to tell the guardians at the heavenly gate that anyone who dare to uh, want to go down there to help will be stopped and punished. Okay, so no one is going to leave and go help them. Let them suffer the consequences of their gluttony and greed and all that bad stuff that these mortals uh, have been practicing for years. Now, this made Chang'e very, very sad because she heard the suffering in people's prayer. She heard how desperate the situation was. And yes, she knew that there were some greedy people and sinful people, but it's not fair to punish millions of people just because of the action of a few hundred. At least that's how she felt. But she couldn't get through the heavenly gate. She couldn't leave. Basically, Jade Emperor put the entire heaven in lockdown. No one's allowed in, no one's allowed out because he didn't want anyone to go down to the mortal world to help these people. So Chang'e, the moon goddess, came up with an idea. She said to her pet Jade Rabbit. When you guys see the depiction of the moon goddess Chang'e, usually you see her carrying a white rabbit in her arm. Okay, that I believe we even talked about the origin of the rabbit on the moon before. Uh, so she said to her Jade Rabbit, I want you to go down there in my place. Bring with you the medicines and the recipes for making medicines and go help these poor people. Well, the Jade Rabbit, like, well, hell, if you can't get out of here, if you can't get through, how the hell am I going to get through? And Chang'e say, it's okay. I got an idea. I got a plan. Just be prepared, okay? Prepared for what? The Jade Rabbit said. And Chang'e just smiled and didn't tell him. So next day, the moon goddess Chang'e carried the Jade Rabbit in her arm and put on her skimpiest, prettiest garment and went to the heavenly gate to, well, just to chill with the soldiers there, basically. I think you guys all know where this is going. Chang'e is said to be one of the most devastatingly beautiful goddesses in the heavenly court. So the soldiers at the heavenly gate were very happy that she was visiting them. She brought them lunch, and she standing around in her skimpy outfit, and was all chummy and buddy buddy with them. And just as when they were not looking, well, they were looking, but they were not looking at her rabbit. They were looking at something else. Use your own imagination. 嫦娥 did an underhand baseball throw and threw her jade rabbit through the gate, and the rabbit sailed down through the clouds, screaming all the way down to the mortal world. And of course, by the time the soldiers realized what happened, it was too late. The rabbit had fallen down and down from heaven and was now in the mortal world already. And Chang'e said, "Oh my God, I'm so careless. I didn't realize the rabbit's going to jump out of my arm. Oh, what can I do? Can I go fetch my rabbit?" And the soldier said, "Well, we're sorry, but the Jade Emperor's command is no one's allowed in, no one's allowed out. So we can't we can't let you go after your rabbit, and we can't even go after your rabbit." Chang'e acted like she's very, very sad and devastated that she lost her rabbit as she went back to her palace. Of course, the soldiers didn't know that the rabbit was given a mission. She sent the rabbit down to the mortal world intentionally to help people. So we now look at the rabbit. So the rabbit fell down and down from the cloud and screaming all the way. He wasn't expecting this to happen either. Right? When Chang'e told him to go down to the mortal world to help, he didn't expect her to just chuck him through the gate and let him fall all the way down. Luckily, the Jade Rabbit was not a normal rabbit. The Jade Rabbit was a very, very powerful deity. Okay, just how powerful is the Jade Rabbit? We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the story. Even though, like I said, I believe we talked about the origin of the Jade Rabbit before, but we'll go back and look at it at the end of the story to refresh our memory. Suffice to say, he's not a normal rabbit. He's a godly, mighty rabbit. So he landed in the mortal world kind of pissed off and scared, but not a single scratch on him. Upon landing in the mortal world, the Jade Rabbit transformed himself into a slender looking young man dressed all in white, and he set out on his mission to give medicine to the people in that region. Now, this part should have been easy, right? I mean, the region was being ravaged by plague, so you would think when someone show up with medicine, people would be happy and welcoming. Finally, their prayers were being answered, right? Well, that's what the Jade Rabbit thought too, but it did not work out that way because for some weird reason that he did not know, every door he knocked on. As soon as they saw him, they slammed the door in his face. Some of them even threw garlic and salt and any kind of the evil warding thing in his face. People were showing up with pitchforks and torches trying to destroy him, chase him out of town. The, the Jade Rabbit couldn't understand this. So finally, he collapsed outside the temple of the local door gods, and he started crying. He was so hurt by how unwelcoming people were and how people hated him. He couldn't understand why people hated him. He was here to save them. He was here with medicine, but no one would even let him get a full sentence out before they got belligerent with him. And the little jade rabbit cried and cried outside the temple of the door gods until finally one of the door gods, one of the guardians that guarded people's houses from evil spirit, came out to see what the hell, who the hell is making all that racket outside the temple. And the door god came out and he saw the jade rabbit and he said, "Oh, hey, I mean, of course they knew each other, you know, they all work for the heavenly court. So the door god like, hey, what are you doing down here? I saw the Jade Emperor said no one's allowed in, no one's allowed out. So we can't even get back up there. Like, how did you get down here? Why are you here? And why are you crying outside my door? And the Jade Rabbit said, "Well, I am here on a mission. My mistress, Chang'e, threw me down here and told me to not come back until I save the people. Um, I don't I I don't know why it's so difficult. I came down here with medicine and the cure for the plague, but these people, they're not friendly. They, as soon as they saw me, they chased me out of town. They threw things at me." The door guard said, "Well, you really you don't know why?" The rabbit said, "I no, I don't. I look at me. I'm such a good-looking boy, and I'm like pure white clothes. I look so clean and presentable. Why are they treating me this way? And the door guard said, "Oh, I forgot that you spend most of your time on the moon with your mistress, so you probably don't know the custom of the people here. You see, Chinese people are kind of crazy." Well, okay, the door guard didn't say that, but I just added that part. You see, the Chinese people, they're kind of crazy. They think that white is related to death and bad omen. So when you show up at someone's door dressed in white and with this plague going on, they think you are death. They think you are the messenger of death coming to collect their soul. That's why. That's why they hate you. We're going to just pause a little bit here, and I want to bring that up because this is true. Okay, if you are in the Chinese society, don't go visit people dressed all in white. Because white is a color of funeral. It's a funeral color in Chinese culture. So if you go to someone's birthday or wedding or stuff like that and you wear white, don't be surprised if they kick you out because the Chinese people are very sensitive about that. So the door guard was right that the rabbit was getting chased out of town because people thought that this white clad uh, stranger was probably related to death. Well, the rabbit felt like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, of course I'm going to wear white. I'm a rabbit. I'm a white freaking rabbit. What else? What other color can I be? The door guard said, well, I understand that, but the custom of the people, they can't deal with that. They are seeing so much death every day. When you walk around in white, they think you are here to take their soul. And the rabbit said, well, what should I wear then? And the door guard said, well, tell you what, I'm going to help you out if you, like when you report back to your mistress, you tell her how helpful I was, and if she agreed to have lunch, that would be awesome. Like I said, Chang'e is one of the most gorgeous goddesses in the heavenly court. So anyway, so Jade Rabbit said, "Okay, I can do that. If you can help me complete my mission, I will definitely put in a good word for you." And so the door guard said, "Well, what do you think of my outfit?" And the Jade Rabbit looked at the door guard. He's a big bearded warrior with golden helmet, golden armor, big sword, big shield. Jade Rabbit said, "Well, honestly, with your big armor, big sword, and your big muscles, you just look like a perfect picture of toxic masculinity." Okay, okay, he didn't say that, but he basically said you look like a rough warrior. Uh, Toxic masculinity. That's basically what the Jade Rabbit would say if he was born in today's time. The door guard said, "F you. I dress the way I dress because this is what these people respect. Okay? They respect, they expect a god, a deity to look like this. So I give them what they expect, and they pray to me, and I protect them, and everybody's happy. So F you and your toxic masculinity comment." So Jade Rabbit said, "Why would I dress the way you dress? If I'm a healer, I'm here to heal them. I don't want to wear armor." And Dorgat said, "My friend, it's all about branding. Okay, it's all about image. If you can have the best intention in the world, but you have to look the part. If you want to claim that you are a god, you are the messenger of the god here to heal them, you got to look the part." So after dickering back and forth for a bit, the door guard lent the Jade Rabbit his armor, his helmet, his big sword, and said, "Okay, now go and try your medicine on them." So the Jade Rabbit, thinking that he looked totally ridiculous, in this armor and helmet, uh, went forward, went back to the village, and started knocking on doors. And to his surprise, he was welcomed with open arms. Everyone kneeled down in the street and kowtowed and bowed down to him like he was the Jade Emperor himself. And he told them, I brought you medicine. And these people trusted him and they took the medicine. And within a few days, the plague was wiped from this region completely. People brought him food and and gold and silver and anything they could uh, to thank him. But the jade rabbit just smiled and said, "No, no, no. This is just what I'm here to do. You guys don't need to give me anything." Well, look, I'll keep the carrot, but you guys can take away the barbecue duck and roast pork, and I don't want any of that. And he turned and walked out of the village after waving back at the appreciative people. On his way, he went to the temple to return his helmet and armor to the door god. Unbeknownst to him, these villagers followed him in secrecy. They very stealthily followed behind him because they wanted to see what this mysterious stranger looked like under his golden helmet and his armor. After getting back to the temple, the Jade Rabbit started to strip out of the armor and helmet, and just as he took off the helmet, he heard a gasp behind him, and he turned around and he saw the shocked faces of the villagers because none of them expected to see a giant white rabbit under all that armor. They thought it was a warrior. And to their horrified gazes, in their horrified gazes, the Jade Rabbit got all embarrassed and flustered, and he didn't know what to do. So he quickly jumped out of the armor and uh, basically flew back to the heavenly gate to report back to his mistress. Well, you know, since the plague was no more, then the lockdown was lifted. You know, the gods and goddesses were allowed to leave and come and leave as they wished. So he had no problem returning to his mistress and reporting that the mission was a success. Now, these villagers, they did not know that it was a jade rabbit borrowing the armor from the door god. So their last glimpse was this giant rabbit taking off his armor and then he flew away. So they started thinking, okay, this must be the rabbit god, the master rabbit that came to save us. So they started making statues and portraits of a rabbit warrior in armor because he was the one that saved their region from from the plague. And that is why, my friend, today in Beijing, China, that is the only region in China where the jade rabbit is depicted as an armored rabbit warrior called Tuye, Master Rabbit. Anywhere else, the jade rabbit is just a white rabbit being carried in the arm of the goddess of the moon. So how did the jade rabbit end up on the moon in the first place? So I'm going to give you guys one of the uh, different tales, one of the different possible origin from the Chinese folklore. Uh, the story goes that the jade rabbit was once upon a time on the same league as the dragon, phoenix, qilin, and black tortoise. And he was one of the original creatures. Back then, he's not this little fluffy rabbit that we think of today. Back then, he was the size of a dragon, very, very powerful, very bad tempered. Any one who offended him, any animal who would dare to offend him would instantly get their head bitten off. He had powerful legs, he had powerful jumping ability, he had big, long teeth and powerful jaws, and he was almost invincible, unbeatable by anybody. Even the dragon didn't want to mess with the rabbit. Finally, the rest of the animal, the dragon and the phoenix and the tortoise and the keeling, had enough of this belligerent, bad-tempered rabbit. So they went up to heaven and petitioned for the Jade Emperor to do something about it. So the Jade Emperor sent down the Grand Master of Heaven, uh, the ancient master himself. Yeah, one of these days we'll talk about who the ancient master is, but let me just say the ancient master is basically the guy who make weapons and designs weapons and armor for everybody up in heaven. He is the master of war, the master of potions, the master of magic. The ancient master is more powerful than even the Jade Emperor. Okay, so the ancient master was sent down to the mortal world to deal with this crazy creature called the rabbit. Uh, and the ancient master and the rabbit had a massive battle, and finally the ancient master was able to defeat the rabbit. The ancient master was actually quite impressed with all the abilities of the rabbit. Um, and he said to the rabbit, I'm going to give you an ultimatum here. You have a choice to make. Either I kill you right now because you've been a pest, or you come with me back to heaven and you work for the heavenly court and you be nice to people. You behave yourself. Well, I mean that's not much of an ultimatum. Basically, come with me or you'll die. And the rabbit said, "Okay, well, fine. I can't defeat you, so I might as well go with you." So the ancient master brought the rabbit back up into the heavenly court, introduced him to the Jade Emperor, and said, "Your Majesty, I tamed this beast, and he's going to work for us from now on." Now, the rabbit was actually a very good worker, but he had a bit of an issue with attention deficits, meaning that whenever he got bored, he would cause mayhem. Whenever he got bored, he would pick fights. Whenever he got bored, he would break things. So try to in an attempt to keep him occupied at all time. The Jade Emperor finally sent him all the way to the moon and said, "You go work for the goddess of the moon, and because she's always making medicine. The goddess of the moon, Chang'e, is a goddess of medicine, so she's always busy, always making medicine. So you go over there and help her because then you will never have time to be bored." And that's how the Jade Rabbit ended up on the moon because that was the only way to occupy him to keep him out of trouble. So anyway, there you have it. That is the origin of the armored rabbit warrior of Beijing, China, who indirectly inspired my Sir Buckthorn artwork. I hope this has been an entertaining episode for you guys, and I'll be back tomorrow for some Toys Thursday. For now, 谢谢 and 再见。